What's up, guys, and welcome to the best movies of 2024. Right off the bat, quick apologies, slightly stuffy head, and I wasn't able to see every movie in 2024. That's kind of impossible. I also didn't even see everyone that I wanted to see. So, yeah, it gets a little messy. I do want to give some quick honorable mentions because there's actually quite a few, and you might even be surprised that some of them, this is going to be a top 15 list, and you might even be surprised that some of them aren't even in the top 15. But nevertheless, these are movies I thought were great. They just didn't quite make the list. Cool? Okay. Abigail, Smile 2, The Wild Robot, The Substance, Kinds of Kindness, The Apprentice, It's What's Inside, Your Monster, Civil War, Gladiator 2, Joker, Folie à Deux. There's your honorable mentions for 2024. I saw a lot of films this year, more than every other one, or more than the most since 2019, I think. So we have a lot to talk about, and let's get right into it. So let's start with number 15. Challengers was one of those weird films where I saw the trailer for it last year at some point, maybe even when I saw Oppenheimer. It was in the theater. I saw the trailer. I'm like, well, that's weird. It being a Luca film, that's to be expected. And then, it came out and it went and it gone. It went and passed. And I never watched it. And I'm like, a lot of people are saying they love it, and they're just talking hot wild about this thing. And I haven't seen it yet. I sat down and watched it, and from the first frame to the last, I was hooked. And I'm probably going to say that a lot in this video, but this is coming from someone who I am not a sports head. I clearly don't play sports, and I'm really not even that interested in them. This movie cared about tennis, made me care about tennis for 2 hours. That is wild. I definitely think out of all three performances, I think Josh O'Connor blew me away in this film, and he definitely deserves a nom, but it's not really looking too much like he's going to get one, which is unfortunate. I thought he did good. Number 14. Thelma. This is probably the biggest surprise for me this year. I saw that it was on Hulu, and I sat down and watched it the first time. And I was like, I liked that quite a bit, actually. It was really funny. And then I sat down and watched it with my mother, because I thought, oh, she'll think this is funny. And I was like, this movie's really good. And then I sat down and watched it with my grandmother, and that is an experience that I will not soon forget, because I don't get to do it very often. And it blew me away. This movie's really funny. It's probably not going to be for everyone, and it's not exactly the fast-paced film like some of these are on this list, and that's okay. I love it all the more. I think June deserves a nom for this film. She's 95 years old now, and she was really, really funny and really good in this film. You gotta check it out for yourself. It's more than worth a watch. It's really good. Watch it. Number 13. Conclave. I made a review for this film, and then I rewatched it. There's this weird thing for me with this film where, again, my same complaints when I was in my review is that the last 15 minutes, I personally just couldn't take seriously, and it did take me out of the experience a little bit. But the second time through, I was okay with it more, and the thriller and mystery aspect of this movie truly, truly hooked me, and I thought it was just fantastic. Ralph Fiennes, after I've seen more of these films, I may have a pick above him as far as the Oscar goes, but he's phenomenal in this film. Don't even get me wrong. I think he absolutely deserves the buzz that he's gotten. There's just some better. But this movie truly is thrilling, and it doesn't slow down, and it's just a thrill ride. And the twists are great too. Number 12. This might cause some controversy, but Deadpool and Wolverine, I loved it. Okay, I really did. I saw it twice in theaters. I within a week, I just I bought it on Blu-ray like the second it came out on Blu-ray, and it's not because of the plot itself. The plot itself is messy, and I think the villain is pretty weak, but that's okay. This movie is really funny, and I think Hugh Jackman is absolutely acting his buttocks off in this film, and he deserves more attention than he's getting, because he's been playing this character for like 20 years now. I mean, similar with Ryan Reynolds, and he's good, and that's okay. But Hugh Jackman just blew me away in this film. The van scene alone is probably one of, if not my favorite scene of the year. It's just, it's good. Okay, it's really good. Juror number 2. Clint Eastwood is 94, and this is a world where he makes a film that I loved. I really liked Richard Jewell, which is his last directorial feature where he wasn't in it, and this one's similar. I really liked Richard Jewell more than most people, actually, and I thought the performances were really good in that film. This film surpasses it in every way. I watched it by myself the first time, and then I watched it with my dad, and he really liked it too. And that may be a common thread, I don't know. But this movie, it actually has a hard job to do, given that just watching the trailer, you know the basic premise. I guess every trailer dibs, but this one's different, where you already know the hidden key, and yet it still holds you for the whole length of the film. And the last shot of this film sent shivers down my spine, and it might be my favorite of the year. Number 10, we're finally entering my top 10. The Bike Riders. This was one of my more recent watches. I really put it off because a lot of people actually weren't really liking this film. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm not going to like it. And I made the whole video, and I bought it on Blu-ray just because, I guess it looks pretty. And then I actually sat down and watched it. And maybe it's because I went in with lower expectations, but I quite liked it. It was, I don't know, I can't describe it. Tom Hardy did a really good job. Austin Butler did a really good job. Jodie Comer did a really good job. And I really liked when stories are told in the way that this one is, and especially with it being about photography. It's just, I really liked the storytelling and how they did it, and it's in my top 10 of the year, which was a big surprise for me. Number 9, Heretic. This was actually an honorable mention until I rewatched it just last night as of recording this video. The second time through, just knowing how everything happened, it was just 10 times more thrilling than the first time around. It really hooked me, and Hugh Grant is fantastic, and I'm so glad that he got a Golden Globe nomination. Yes. Everything about this movie, yes. This movie's great. Watch it for yourself. The basic premise, it's actually, I didn't even have the same effect that most people had, where like once it took a certain step, they kind of lost. I didn't have that the second time through. I had it a little bit the first time, but the second time through, the two leads, the female leads, really still hooked me a lot, even on the second time through. So, number 8, The Order. I watched this film for the first time last night. It was another one of those films where it looked, and this is nothing against the movie, it looked like almost one of those straight-to-DVD action films. And then I sat down and watched it, and you see in the opening lines, based on true events, and for some reason, the second I saw the opening scene, I was hooked. Nicholas Hoult has had a wild year this year. Really, really good year for him. And he's on this list 3 times, if that doesn't tell you anything. And he's in this, and he's quite good. But the standout to me here really is Jude Law. He is fantastic in this film. There's one scene in particular in a car where you can just truly feel him as a character that he's playing, that he really wants to just complete this job that he's given himself almost. And it's also an emotional thrill ride with the end. It's just, the performances are great. It's good. Number 7, A Different Man. I really think the thing that holds this movie together for me is Sebastian Stan. I watched The Apprentice and I liked it. It should have been in my honorable mentions. That's my bad. But the thing that stood out to me about this movie is that he has a very difficult job. Don't get me wrong. The Apprentice was also a very difficult job, and I think he did great in it. There's nothing against that movie. But this movie stood out because I genuinely, and this is me, I went into it knowing nothing, like I like to do sometimes. As you'll see in my reviews, I talk about that a lot. I went into this film not knowing much, and I genuinely took me a minute to realize that that was Sebastian Stan. The man is just hitting different in this one, no pun intended. Even when the film hits a turning point, you just see his character just crumble, and it just sends shivers down your spine, and he's really good in it. Longlegs. This was a really good year for horror. I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of them. I mentioned The Substance in the honorable mentions, I do believe. Longlegs was one of those films where people were telling me that it was a little disappointing and the marketing got too much, hyped up. I disagree. I watched the film, actually sat down and watched it. Nicolas Cage in this movie is just the most Nicolas Cage ever, and he's really good, and I wish he was getting more attention than he was. But it's a horror film. This movie's scary. Not the traditional sense, and not that it freaked me out all that much, because it didn't. I watch a lot of horror films, and a lot of them don't. But this one did feel a little different, where the hidden details are what got me. And actually, more than once in the hidden details, if you know, you know, it sent shivers down my spine. Like, every time that I saw those hidden details, and it's just great, and I love content like that, and it's one way. 5, Saturday Night. This movie, more than any other this year, from the very first 2 seconds to the last 2 seconds, I could not have been more hooked. Honestly, it was just boom, 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 boom. And for a while, it was actually on track with the hour and a half. It is an hour 49, I think, something like that. You don't feel the extra 19 minutes. There was a scene in this movie, and this is when I truly knew that I felt the pain of the main character. There's a scene in this movie where it actually takes a breath and it slows down for a second. And if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. And you're just always constantly thinking in the back of your head, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You're running out of time here. And that's when I knew this film is a thrill ride that I loved, and the performances were actually pretty good. What can I say? It really is paced phenomenally. That is the biggest thing I can give it. Number 4, Sing Sing. I've seen this film 3 times now. I watched it originally and loved it. I watched it again and loved it. And I watched it again after the Golden Globes snobbed, and I loved it even more. And I think that the snob that the Golden Globes gave this film is absolutely outrageous, and it's very unfortunate. This movie deserved the Best Picture nom through and through. Colin Domingo is phenomenal in this film. He might be my pick for Best Actor at the moment. Don't quote me on that. He's just really, really good in this film. Clarence Macklin, I think his name is, phenomenal in this film, man. Like, he was an absolute standout, and these, standing right next to Colin Domingo like the entire time. So, this movie's great. Just sit down and give it a shot, and it's less than 2 hours long, and my biggest complaint is that, honestly, it wasn't long enough. I wanted to spend more time with these characters, especially towards the end when certain things happen. I wanted to see more with these characters. Yeah. These top 3 have been a challenge for me, especially the past couple days. They've been switching left, front, and center all over for me. But I think I've made up my mind. Here we go. The top three. Number 3. Anora was an absolute standout for me. I saw it after all the hype had happened. And so I went in, I was a little worried because I was like, okay, well, this movie's been given a lot of hype, and I hope it lives up, and it surpassed. Actually, when I saw this film the first time, I've had wisdom teeth problems a little bit recently. When I saw this film the first time, I was in pain. The movie almost made me forget that I was in pain. By the time the second half of this movie hits, I reminisced and what was once Uncut Gems in 2019, and that's when I knew I was going to love it. Mikey Madison absolutely has my pick for Best Actress this year. She's phenomenal in this. She absolutely deserves the Oscar. Her dedication and like everything that she commits to doing in this movie is wild. Things that I would never ever do, and I'm not even in the same position that she would be in. And it's just, she had to do a lot, and she's phenomenal, and the movie's hilarious, and it's just nonstop awesome, especially when that second half hits. Number 2, this is my most recent new watch on this list. Nosferatu. Once again, a lot of early hype came out for this film, especially with Robert Eggers. I love his movies, specifically The Lighthouse, and now this. They're phenomenal, and Nosferatu is a big standout in his catalog. This movie's terrifying in the best way possible. I have plans to go see it again very soon, and everything about it just clicks in all the right ways. Nicholas Hoult, this is probably his best performance of this year, interestingly. Willem Dafoe, probably his best performance of the year, interestingly. And the big standout, like I mentioned in my review, Lily Rose Depp is really, really good here. Good job, Johnny. You raised a good daughter. She's doing great stuff out here. Yes. The fact that there's not even any CGI with her character is just hallelujah. Wow. Okay? It's just, woo. Yeah, it's just, yeah. And Bill Skarsgård, man, so unrecognizable and quite good. Even being hidden in the movie at times, that's fine with me. When he's finally is just, anytime he's like truly on screen, he's just chewing up the scenery, and he's great. Any guesses for what my number 1 of the year is? Probably not, actually, because this was another big surprise. Number 1, Furiosa is the 5th film in this now Mad Max saga. I found this movie to be awesome. There is 2 action sequences in this movie that I will not soon forget, and probably some of the best of all time. Chris Hemsworth is a phenomenal villain, and you tell her Joy gave a side and a performance to her that I've never seen from her before, and she was great. Furiosa is easily one of the best action films I've seen in the past 10 years. And easily my most favorite and best film of 2024. Wow. George Miller, hats off to you, my friend. Golf claps all around. Yes. This movie surprisingly stands up to Fury Road mightily. It is just insane, and I love it, and it's so good. Watch it for yourself on the biggest screen you possibly can. It's on HBO Max. Yes, this movie looks phenomenal, and everything about it's phenomenal. Yes, so Furiosa is my number 1 of the year. It is the number 1 standout, the biggest surprise probably. Yes. That was my best films of 2024, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. This year has been big for me. I've gotten more views, and it's not even just about the views. I just love doing this, and I love the fact that you guys seem to enjoy it. The number 1 thing to me, really, I guess, at the end of the day, is your enjoyment. I don't want you to sit here and take 20 minutes out of your day if you're not going to enjoy it. And I'm very much looking forward to 2025 and what it has in what it has to offer. Alright, guys, this is probably going to be my final video of the year. It's the biggest one, and I put a lot of time and effort into this one, just studying these films and watching them over and over and over again. Yes. Alright, thank you guys all for watching this, and peace out, like, and subscribe.